Hi, this is Ina Langerman from Violina.live, helping you along your musical journey. This is part 2 on playing tenths, where we will focus more on practicing for intonation. Previously, I discussed the fundamentals on playing tenths for small hands, and to be quite frank, all those tips apply just about for anybody. And in this video, we are going to go over 4 methods that you can apply to get tenths more consistently in tune. But before we start, do keep in mind that tenths, just like any other extensions like fingered octaves, which are even more difficult, they must not be practiced until you have established a healthy left hand frame. And this is for more advanced players, and we don't want to spend too long on these exercises. Take breaks whenever you need to, and please stop if anything hurts. When in doubt, please consult with your private teacher. If their advice is the complete opposite of anything that I am saying in these videos, it's usually best to go with their instruction. And if you are not taking lessons, I am just a random violinist on YouTube, and my videos are not a replacement for private lessons. The first exercise to getting tenths in tune, it's taught by the Russian pedagogue Yuri Yankilevich. I read about it in this fantastic book, and I think actually a lot of his exercises on double stops are just genius. So I will link this book down below if you want to explore them. And I actually explained this exercise in my previous video on tenths, but I'm going to repeat it in this video. So what we're going to do is actually start with octaves in high positions. So let's say I'm going to start with I'll start in 7th position. I'll start with an octave on A, and what I'm going to do is bring my first finger downward to a 9th interval and then to a 10th. So we are extending backwards this way. So there's the octave. Then I'll go down to a 9th. And then whether you have a major or minor 10th, you can extend by another half or whole step. Or depends on which one you have. And then what happens is, by doing it this way, you actually get to listen interval by interval, so you are more aware of the intonation. And tenths, they are very much related to thirds, so we listen to them in a similar way. Then what we do is we take this frame down 1 position. So I'll go to the note G, and I'll repeat it. So I'll go from G with the first finger, I'll go to an F sharp, and then I'll go to an E. Then I'll repeat the same exercise. Actually, if you want, this is not in the book, but if you want, you can also go back up to an octave. This way, it actually correlates, this reaching back, it correlates with movement. And when we are in motion, when our hand is in motion, we get less tenths. Okay, so then we'll repeat the next, we'll go down to F natural. And repeat. Or you could do... Or if you want, you can play with your first finger the beginning of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Like that, if you need to go to the wider interval. So basically you repeat this until you reach down to the lowest 10th position, which is actually 3rd position. And then we're going to leave the hand frame by reaching down towards a B or a B flat, depending on what you need to do. And then you can come back. So this is very helpful to really start listening to the difference between the octave, then the 9th, and then the 10th. So now the second exercise, it's to pay attention to which finger has to do a whole step versus a half step. Sometimes the fingers will move at different intervals because thirds work the same way, and same with sixths, but tenths are more closely related to thirds. So the idea is that the larger distance, whichever finger does the larger distance, is going to get a head start. So let's take an example. Let's say I'm going from, let's say I'm going to play E on top and C on the bottom. Let's say I'm going from here, from C and E. Let's say I want to go down up to D and F. In this case, my first finger has to go up a whole step, and my pinky only has to go up a half step. That means my first finger has to travel further. So the way I'm going to break it down, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put an extra note in between, and then I'll show you how we'll put it back together. So there's my E. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my first finger from here so that ultimately both fingers will go up a half step. So I'll add an extra note. Move a C up to a C sharp. And now both fingers keep going a half step. You see what I did? So I'm going to do it again. See? So basically my pinky did not move until my first finger moved up a half step. So I'm going to put that together now without pausing in between. And I can do the same on the way back. My first finger will get a head start, a whole half step head start. By organizing it this way, it's more consistently in tune. By the way, if you're getting any value from this video so far, please go ahead and give it a quick thumbs up down below to help support this channel, and so that YouTube is more likely to share it with more people who are looking for free guidance on this kind of topic. And do consider subscribing and sharing my video to a friend or a colleague. The third exercise is basically, we're going to take what we did in the second one, and we're going to start increasing the interval. So far, everything we did was a second interval apart. Now, let's say we have to shift more than adjacent notes. So we'll take the same concept of identifying which finger is traveling further. So let's say I'm going to go from, let's say I'm going to like a third up. So now the first finger is going to go from C to E, and then the fourth finger is going to go from E to G. By default, because my first finger is in a lower position, the distance on the fingerboard between C and E is a little larger than the E to G up here in this part of the fingerboard. Also, from C to E is a major third, right? But from E to G is a minor third. So of course, the first finger is going to travel further in this situation. So I'm going to try to, I won't think so much by half step the way I showed it in the previous example, but I am going to imagine that my first finger is leading this one. So the hand expands as it goes back. As it goes up, the hand is actually going to contract a little bit as the first finger moves up. First finger goes first. And if you feel tense, if you're feeling tension, tap with your thumb. It's going to automatically release some tension. Or try a pinky vibrato, see if you can. It's going to release some extra tension in the fingers. And then going back, the first finger leads on the way down as well. Now let's say I want to do the opposite. Let's say I want my pinky to travel a larger interval. So let's say I'm going to go from C sharp to D here. And then here I'm going to go I'm going to go from E to F sharp. So what I'm going to do is my pinky is going to be the leader this time. So I snuck in an extra half step with the pinky before my first finger started moving. Now it is a little more difficult when the pinky has to lead like this, because we gotta be careful about our hand position. We want to be careful that the pinky does not try to reach upward so much. So it helps to put the hand a little bit more in this kind of position and instead of like that, because then it's gonna be able to extend more this way. The hand can expand further. So now back to increasing the intervals. As the interval gets larger, it becomes more difficult to stay in tune. So let's say I'm going to do a perfect fourth. I'm going to go from B to E. So that means on top I'll go from D to G. So this one is more difficult to get in tune. So what I'm going to do is the fourth exercise, the fourth way you can tune these, is to separate the voices. I actually recommend this for other double stop exercises like octaves. This is helpful for octaves as well. You can separate the voices. So I'll do just the bottom voice. And now just the top voice. In this case, both fingers will go up a perfect fourth. And then you can also separate them like this. And switch. So that one could have been better. So when it's not as in tune as you would like it to be, instead of adjusting and fishing around for the note, which is not going to be helpful, instead of that, just observe which finger was out of tune and which way to adjust it. So in my case, my fourth finger could have been a little higher on the upper interval. So when I did just the inner voice, I moved my pinky using my sense of trust and muscle memory, and let's see if I landed it in tune now. So now my G is just maybe a little sharp this time. So I'll do it again. So I'm gonna see if my G is in tune. It's more in tune now. Now I'll go down on the pinky alone. And I'll check if my B is in tune. And I'll repeat this exercise. Now my B was a little too sharp. So you see, I tried to adjust it. That's not how we're supposed to practice it. But like, let's say it's out of tune. Okay, B, I would correct it. So I'll do it again. Check the G. This takes trust. This takes a lot of repetition. I'll check my B. And now together. Again, don't spend too long on these because these are extension and it's important to take breaks. I hope these tips have been helpful to you. Please let me know your biggest takeaway in the comments section below. And if you have not already done so yet, please go ahead and sign up for my bi-monthly newsletter. It's completely free and you will get a summary of my content in your email inbox twice a month and the ability to reach me directly. Until next time, happy practicing.